Morning, everybody. You're in San Francisco and you're thinking, oh, I'd like to go up to wine country and check it out up there. I've heard a lot about Sonoma County and the wines that come from there, Kendall Jackson, Geyser Peak, all up and down the Sonoma Valley. I wonder if it'd be a lot of fun to spend a day in Santa Rosa. Well, that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to start with some breakfast. No, that's not my vet beer. I wish it is. Let's start our day with some breakfast over here at Dierk's Parkside Cafe. Pretty well-known breakfast spot here in Santa Rosa. They really dish it up, and it's convenient to some of our morning sights that we're going to be seeing. Let's go. Breakfast and lunch. Let's head in. Inside. Let's look at the menu here. Pull apart fried bread dough. That's something kind of unusual. Dusted with cinnamon, sugar, battered in donuts, 2 eggs, bacon, the usual things. Boulevard, French bread, French toast, Parkside, chicken fried steak, biscuits and gravy, Sonoma duck confit. How about that? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, good, thank you. I'm gonna ask what the real special of the house is here. Should be interesting. Really sweet. I'm gonna get the pull apart here, which is a fried bread dough dusted with cinnamon because, well, right, can never get enough carbs, right? Here comes our beautiful waitress. There she is.
Enjoy.
Can I get a little more coffee too, please? Thank you. That's what it looks like, the pull apart. Thank you, sweetie. Wonderful. Yep, steaming hot that is. Really good. It's like a puff pastry with some cinnamon sugar. It is really, really delicious. Alright guys, that was a good feed. That on there. Thank you. Friendly place too. I hope you start your day at Dierk's Parkside here, 404 Santa Rosa Avenue, which is Main Street in Santa Rosa, so you really can't get lost. Let's head to our first attraction, non-eating attraction across the street here. I'll take a look at Santa Rosa's beautiful original first park in the city, and it is beautiful. By the way, if you're going to stay in town, the Astro Motel is really nicely centrally located. It's all been renovated a couple years ago, and people say it is really, really nice. Juliard Park is just a really nice, quiet oasis in a pretty good sized city of around 200,000 people here. And if you come over in the morning, it will be even more peaceful. It's a good way to walk off that breakfast. luckily we get the leaves changing color. Quite a beautiful park, but like most cities with urban cores, I don't think I would be walking around the park after dark. So my best advice, take a morning stroll before things get, well, you know. Directly across from the park, we have one of Santa Rosa's premier attractions, and one of the reasons that many people come to visit worldwide, and it is the home and the greenhouse of Luther Burbank, who was known as the plant wizard for his incredible work in making better varieties and breeding more productive plants, more disease-resistant plants, and a very, very famous American. He was so famous that in 1915, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and Harvey Firestone took a train from San Francisco during the Panama Pacific exhibition and came to Santa Rosa to visit Luther Burbank. Let's visit the home and garden. Open daily 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Coming in, you have the beautiful view of the fountain here, which is wonderful. Summertime, many people come over here because it's cooler in the garden area that live and work downtown. Great way to sit in the shade and enjoy the views. On the right is Luther Burbank's Carriage house. He lived here and did most of his experimental work here in his greenhouse that we will see in a minute. They open up for tea and visits this Christmas time, and it's really something to see. You can actually look in the inside of the house. This is where the gift shop and some of the informative exhibits are. How's this for a greenhouse? That's really old school. During the 1906 earthquake, only very minor damage was done to this greenhouse. People were amazed. It does have a group of people that volunteer to upkeep and take care of the property. It's a little peek inside of his greenhouse here. Over on the left, you'll see a safe there. He was always very aware of the fact that there were unscrupulous people that would come in and try to take advantage of his research, so he was always very careful to lock up his notes. Worth noting, he is one of the few people, the only one I know of, that was allowed to be buried on his property when he passed away in 1926, and he did not want the grave marked, but he is definitely interned somewhere on the property. As you go around and enjoy the views, you'll see placards that mark some of his thoughts or hybridizations and developments here. It says he did not feel constrained by scientific laws and continues to work to accelerate even after even alter nature's processes. This is his home, and they do have guided tours available. And as I said, in Christmas time, they have open for tea and for visitation. Really a beautiful property and a must stop and see here in Santa Rosa. Interestingly enough, not all of Burbank's efforts resulted in success. For example, one famous one was he thought it would be good if he could develop a thornless blackberry that would not be dark color and stain teeth when you were having pies and things like that. And he developed a clear looking or milky white looking berry, and he was soon to discover that people didn't really care about that. The eye appeal of like a milky white fruit in a pie was a definite turnoff to them. So there were failures along the way. But overall, he became known as one of the greatest 50 inventors and scientists in American history, finding his way to postage stamps and the Hall of Fame. Let's look at just a few of his achievements on the way out. Talk about a productive life. It's very interesting. When he passed away in 1926, believe it or not, at that time, you could not patent varieties that you developed. You could sell seeds and cuttings in catalogs, but there was no way to register them as your innovation in plant technology. But his wife, Elizabeth, was very clever. In 1932, Congress changed the laws so that you could patent plant developments and new varieties and better plants. And she rushed to the patent office immediately and had her lawyer file patent after patent after patent to protect Luther Burbank's legacy and his work and get some financial remuneration from it. She was a smart cookie. Many, many years his junior, but an excellent partner that stood the test of time. That's going to be a wrap here on Luther Burbank Gardens, a must-stop here on Santa Rosa in your day trip. You will find it extremely interesting. The people were helpful, and if you're here in the afternoon, they opened up the Carriage house and the gift shop inside. It has some more really interesting displays. Born in Massachusetts, but adopted in Santa Rosa, almost to the point of being a native son. And besides Charles Schultz, who also moved here of Peanuts fame, and Robert Ripley of Ripley's Believe It or Not, certainly the most famous Santa Rosas. Let's move on to downtown. One little known fact about Santa Rosa is in the horrific 1906 earthquake, which really shook San Francisco to its core. But really the fires in San Francisco were what laid waste to the city and had so much destruction, as water mains were broken and firefighters had little recourse to battle the blazes that broke out, gas lines and other things. Santa Rosa was not so lucky. Amazingly, the town of Petaluma, some 10-12 miles south of here, was totally spared the earthquake, but Santa Rosa North was absolutely devastated in 1906, and per capita there was more death and destruction here in this town than in San Francisco, and virtually every building was leveled and went down to the ground in April of 1906. Rebuilding process means that a lot of original Santa Rosa that you might see in the movie Shadow of a Doubt, Hitchcock's best thriller in 1943, was lost forever. The great architecture and things like that. So, little known fact, and left us with the city that we see today. We're heading into core downtown. This is Santa Rosa downtown square, where they have many events, and if you're here in the spring and summer and into early fall, they have the Wednesday night markets where they have a lot of food trucks and bands set up here. It really makes for a very nice evening. This was recently created about 10 years ago because, well, Santa Rosa Avenue here ran right through. And the city decided that they wanted to have a downtown park, so they routed the traffic around. Be aware that the name changes over here, and Santa Rosa Avenue becomes Mendocino Avenue. This is one of the signature buildings, probably the most famous in Santa Rosa, that survived and is relatively intact, because there was another earthquake in 1969 that took down the county courthouse. This is called the Empire Building. It really is quite beautiful. It's now become the E Hotel. We can go in and take a look around. center of the nightlife in Santa Rosa, and it has a revolving group of restaurants that come and go. Yes, some fail, some last, but you can always come down here and have a few drinks, afternoon cocktails. They have specials, and it's just a great place to hang out. Go to places like the Belly bar here and restaurant, have music in the evening, and you'll see a lot of people sitting out here and enjoying themselves when the weather is good. Let's walk up 4th Street a little bit. I think one of the most beautiful restaurants is the La Rosa downtown. It's a Mexican food restaurant. I have enjoyed the food, but it's a whole experience to sit inside and eat, and the prices aren't bad. There's the Belly Left Coast Kitchen I was talking about, and they'll have an artist sit here in the evening and play music. There's some cool funky clothes shops too. And this is a place I highly recommend, the Noble Pie and Ice Cream Parlor. And they'll put out their seasonal flavors, which are very unusual. There's so many great ethnic foods in town. You have Ethiopian food, Puerto Rican food, Indian food, many delis that serve great lunches. Definitely worth a stop if you're hungry and you need some lunch. Just a few of the shops here. You'll find a lot of outdoor dining options here. Most of which I can attest to are really, really good. Absolutely want to spend time on 4th Street if you're coming to town. We're coming up to the Russian River Brewery, which is one of the most famous here in Northern California, if not the West, and some parts of the East, because they develop craft beers, some of which have become renowned. The one in particular, Pliny the Younger, people in November and into December will literally line up here 200, 300 deep for a chance to fill up their growler with Pliny the Younger. They have a lot of great brews, but I have seen the line stretch a block and a half in the cold waiting for one beer. Maybe you fancy a tea. Every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday they open a tea room here, Tudor Rose English Tea Room. Maybe you need your morning latte or coffee fix. Starbucks has got you covered. Another must stop here if you're into great Jewish delis is Max Deli. They serve great breakfasts, great lunch with real hot pastrami since I believe 1952 or 1953. I highly recommend it, and the prices are good too. The hottest spot down here is the Beer Baron, and they just have a wall of liquor that is amazing. You're down here on a Friday, Saturday, even Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday night, Monday night for college football. This place is packed. Definitely the most poppin' place in town. I think the food is pretty good too. Another good eatery I can recommend is the Perch and the Plow. And it's up on the second level, and it's got beautiful views of the square. And the food is some of the most delicious I've had here in Santa Rosa. And it is directly on the square, opposite the beautiful Empire Building. Just a mere 5 minutes from downtown is the famed McDonald Avenue, which is Santa Rosa, the city of Santa Rosa's premier residential street. More importantly though, it is a street that Hollywood has loved over the years. So much so that on this particular street, McDonald Avenue, which I think is the most beautiful street in town, 5 motion pictures were shot on location here. The one I like the most is Alfred Hitchcock's Shadow of a Doubt, which I think is Hitchcock's greatest thriller. Also Edward G. Robinson and a really all-star cast did another movie here called All My Sons, which was an amazing movie adapted from an Arthur Miller play. Another amazing movie, award winner Burt Lancaster. Across the street here, the Scream House, the original Scream, 1996, starring Neve Campbell. Up the road, the Pollyanna House from the 1960 Walt Disney classic that really helped put these Disney studios on the map. And finally, a 1943 tearjerker called Happy Land. And it was the first movie, an introduction, a very brief scene. You didn't even see her, but a Santa Rosa resident, Natalie Wood, had her premiere debut in that particular movie. Let's take a look at some of the houses. collection of just stunning movie homes, and I can see why Hollywood loved to film here, particularly Alfred Hitchcock. Of course, he went on to film The Birds here in the early 1960s in Bodega Bay, on relatively close to the ocean there, about 18 miles to the west. Great avenue to walk on if you want to walk off your daily lunch. Great place to come over to, because we've got a pretty famous museum to go to. Just in case you feel like it, the arena is open to the public with many public skating sessions. And they have the Warm Puppy Cafe too, for a cup of hot chocolate and a good bowl of French fries. They have a wonderful gift shop there with all kinds of tchotchkes and Snoopy and Charlie Brown plushies and Woodstock. I'll tell you a funny story. When I first moved to the area in 1999 and came over here, I think I brought my girls over when they were really small. I did not really know Charles Schultz on site, and I went in the Warm Puppy Cafe while I was waiting for them to attempt to skate. It's Young's falling down on the ice. I had a cup of hot chocolate and I sat at a table, and I didn't notice that the table had a reserved placard on it, and all of a sudden some guy with glasses and white hair comes up to me, a skinny guy, and he says, "Excuse me, this is my seat." And I'm like, "I don't see your name on it." And he reaches down and he turns the placard around on the table. It says, "Reserved for Charles Schultz." I'm like, "Are you Mr. Schultz?" "I sure am." We had a good laugh. This is one of these must-sees right on the campus with the ice rink, is the renowned Charles Schultz Museum. And people come here from all over the world, and for some reason the Japanese are particularly enamored. And there's always a lot of visitors in town from Japan, and it is fantastic inside. I'm not going to go inside, but I will tell you this, it's very lucky, because in 2017, you may have heard, Santa Rosa had a horrific wildfire. It was the first time in history that a wildfire had gotten loose in a major urban, major city, and it wreaked havoc. And unfortunately, on that evening of October 9th, 2017, Charles Schultz's home up in the hills was one of them that burned down. Luckily, all of his great awards and materials had been located here to the museum. Look inside of the lobby. You can purchase your tickets. Look around. I don't know why Peanuts was so fantastically successful. Maybe because it had stories and little episodic dailies that people could relate to, of frustrations in their own lives. What I found particularly interesting about the museum, and I'll leave a link here in the video where you can see a friend of mine and I went in last December. What I found particularly fascinating was that virtually every character that you know. Linus, Violet, Peppermint Patty, just on and on. Every single character. Lucy was related to somebody that Charlie Brown knew in real life, and their pictures are in there. It is the most amazing things. This is a must-do stop. The charge for admission, $12, $10 for seniors. I think it's $5 for kids. Definitely worth the price of admission. You've got to see this place. I know you're probably pretty tired now, but maybe you're up for some wine tasting. And I'm going to go out Highway 12, which is the local highway through the famed Valley of the Moon, where Jack London lived and did his writing, Call of the Wild. It's also home, now there's lots of wineries in Santa Rosa and in the area around here, and you can spend probably 3 weeks and not hit half of them. But I think that there's two particular wineries that are renowned not just for the wine that they produce, but the beauty of the surroundings, and that's where we're going to head now as our last must-see places. We're about 5 miles east of Santa Rosa here, and one of my favorite wineries. And mind you, I'm not a wine drinker, but this is the beautiful St. Francis Winery. They tell me their wines are very renowned. What I find most beautiful here is sitting out on the deck, especially in summer, just before the grape harvest, and the views out back are just spectacular.
Hey, where have you been? I've been looking for you now and then. Someone just like you, who can make me feel the way you do. 'Cause if I'm the ocean, you're the rain. We only need each other, baby, you know we're the same. Let's run away. All I need is you, now and always. You and me, we don't need no one else than each other. You and me, we could run away. Together, baby, we don't gotta stay. Let's lose our minds. We could go crazy and leave it all behind. It could be glorious, 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 glorious. It could be glorious, glorious. Say what you feel. I don't even know if this is real. How can you like me? You're as close to perfect as anyone can be. You and me, we don't need no one else than each other. You and me. We could run away. You and me together, baby, we don't gotta stay.
definitely worth the 5-mile drive, and a lot of you are wine drinkers, and it doesn't get any better than Sonoma County, especially out Highway 12 with some of the world's greatest wineries. We got one more stop. This one's a real razzle-dazzle show. How is that for an entrance? Kaboom! Boy, the beautiful Ledson Winery, virtually right next door to St. Francis Winery. Again, just a couple of miles east of Santa Rosa. Very easy to get to on Highway 12. And trust me, plenty of people come out here. And this is just one of probably 200 wineries in the area. But visually, I don't think you can beat it. See, I was telling you the truth. Spectacular does not even begin to describe Ledson Winery, and as far as the wines, I don't know, but I'd be willing to bet that they're pretty tasty. It's been a fun day for me here. I've lived here for 23 years in Santa Rosa, but I always love going around as if I'm doing a day trip here and seeing the sights, because things do change, but the beauty here remains the same. It's a great place to live. Hey, if you're not subscribed, hit the bell, the subscribe button for all notifications. Hit that bell, and hope to see you on a future adventure. By the way, check the travel list and playlist down below for cinematic travels and adventures. I think that you'll find a lot to enjoy. Once again, thumbs up are appreciated, and thanks everybody.